My name's Dr. Paul Brewerton, the Strengths Guy, Doctor of Psychology and Chair and Founder of StrengthScope. I podcast each week just as you're getting your head back into work mode to give you a positive, strengths-based boost into your week ahead. My podcasts are packed full of tips and tools to help you get the best out of your working week. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast. Quite a while ago now, I published a couple of podcasts on building your personal brand, how to develop your personal brand and how to communicate it as a two-parter. Today's podcast is a how-to of both elements in one episode specifically aimed at leaders. In my executive coaching work, I often spend time with leaders working on their values as the principles they work to and which others need to understand. We also spend time on the strengths and skills that mark them out as unique. For some leaders, we also talk purpose, what difference they want to make in the world and what legacy they want to leave as a leader. And for others, we work on their gravitas, how they can be seen as credible, confident, and trustworthy. In today's podcast, I'm going to combine all of these elements into one activity which will help shape your communication of what's important to you and how you can make an intentional positive impact as a leader. Today's podcast is all about building your leadership brand. So, a leadership brand helps you in several ways. It helps you to differentiate yourself in competitive, internal and external marketplaces. It helps you to increase your visibility in your organization and make others aware of your value. It helps to ensure that people have a clear sense of who you are and how to work with you. And finally, it helps you to become more self-confident, more self-motivated as you get more aware of yourself and what matters to you. You have clarity about what you have to offer and how that marks you out as positively different. Okay, so onto the activity. There are plenty of ways to do this, but my favorite is to use a pyramid. Practically, there's more space to capture what you need at the fat end, the lower end of the pyramid, but the shape also shows the importance of the base layers as giving you strong foundations for your leadership proposition and legacy, which sit at the pointy end and which need less words to describe them. So the first thing is to, draw a pyramid with 4 layers or levels. So yeah, we're going to get out pen and paper. You potentially could do it in PowerPoint, whatever you want to do, whatever works. But this is about crafting your leadership brand from the base up. So the base level includes your core values and the attitudes that guide your leadership. So I recommend, as I have before, James Clear's list of values as a start point if you want to Google it for inspiring your own list of values. But James Clear's list is like 100 and something, but try and keep yours as short as you can. So say, I don't want to put a number on it, but say 7 to 8 is a kind of good number to finish with. And do use your own language. So in any list of values, they're going to have their own language that they've handpicked from various different places. But find the words that resonate for you. Think about the things that you truly value and hold dear, the way you feel the world should be, the behaviors or actions in others that anger you. All of these things point to your key values and attitudes. Now, this is important because everyone's values are different. They come to us from our own individual experience of our upbringing and our ongoing experience of life. And we can't assume that anyone else, literally anyone else, sees the world in the same way that we do and has the same values as us. So think about the people who work for you, who work with you. Would it help them and you if they knew what you valued? Think of it, if you like, as a playbook or a survival guide to working with you. If the people who work for you act in alignment with your values, you're more likely to see them in a positive light. And if they do something that's way out of alignment with your values, they can expect it won't sit well with you. So it's really important to spend time to capture your values as the bedrock foundations of the other brand elements. Second layer are your strengths and skills and expertise. So if you thought of yourself as a product, who doesn't? then this level would contain your features, not your benefits yet, your features. So your strength scopes stand out 3 strengths, possibly more, maybe even all 7 would sit here, along with the areas of skill that you want to bring to your leadership role, whatever they may be. Strategic vision, networking and relationships, project management capability, flexibility, critical analysis, whatever your gifts and talents and features are. If you're not 100% sure, you can always ask for feedback from those who know you well. Where do they see you at your best? What do they see as your greatest leadership strengths and talents? Once you've completed that level, the next layer up, the third layer, if the second layer included your product features, this layer includes the benefits of those features. Think of this level as the difference you want to make or the leadership legacy you want to leave. And try and get this down to an inspiring statement of intent around your core purpose. A couple of examples. I create environments where teams thrive, and I support each individual to reach their true potential. Or perhaps, I build and deliver strategic plans which always create measurable value for my organization. They're quite different, those two, but for the right person who's developed them, that would evoke emotions in them and possibly others, but mainly you, mainly the creator of your leadership brand, because it's intended to stimulate you towards action, towards a future state. And it should be something that sets you apart as being different. Okay, the top and the final layer, the pointy end of the pyramid, is your essence. When you're at your best and most energized, and the reason others would follow you. 10 words maximum, ideally fewer. In fact, the fewer the better. The idea here is to capture a statement that when you say it, or others hear it, or read it, it will inspire the kind of people who you'd want to be around you to get around you. So think of this as a leadership brand statement or a brand promise, if you like. So that's quite a bit of work. It'll take time to hone. Once you have, say the words, particularly those at the top end of the pyramid, say those words out loud to yourself and test your own reaction. Does what you have sit right with you? Does it feel like you? Can you own it? Or does it feel a bit awkward, a bit clunky? Does the language not quite work for some reason? Might you feel a little bit embarrassed if you're asked to describe your brand in this way to your team? Well, then do some more work on it until it feels right, until it feels you. It will be a mix of the now and the future, of what you've attained already, and your aspirations and ambitions for your leadership future. But make sure it's now enough that it represents a reasonably accurate picture of how people will experience you today. They need to be able to recognize you, but with a future-focused, motivating perspective also, so that you have something to move towards, space to grow into. Okay, so once you're happy with your leadership brand, you're going to need a brand communication plan. So I have some reflection questions for you to ask yourself, which should help with that process. There's 3. So actually, there's a couple of questions in one, really. But the first is, how close are your stakeholders' perceptions of your current leadership approach to your ideal brand, to the leadership brand you've just developed? And thinking about the answer to that question, what do you need to do more of, less of, or differently to close the gap? So these questions are getting you to think about your behavior and what others see in you day to day that will lead them to conclude that your brand is aligned or not with the human in front of them. And we all have work to do on that. Do you need to make your values more visible or talk to more people about them? Do you need to communicate the value that your strengths and skills and expertise can bring, and to whom? And who knows about the legacy that you want to leave right now, today? And who would you like to know? Second question, how will you communicate your brand to colleagues, to your direct reports, to other stakeholders? So once you've worked out where your gaps are in terms of people's perceptions right now and how you would want brand you to be seen, you can get to work on a comms plan, a brand management plan that will help you to get the right messages to the right people in the right ways. For example, translating your values into leadership behaviors and then behaving consistently with them is a really good next step. You can talk to your team about your values, maybe at an all-hands meeting where you can ask them to share theirs too, or maybe one-to-one with your top team. What about your legacy and your essence? Ideally, you'd want more senior folk to see and hear this. So work on an elevator pitch that you can switch on if you get the opportunity to be in front of your +1s, +2s, +3s. Third and final question. What immediate steps can you take to start communicating and living your brand right now? So this is about taking steps today. Small actions can make a big difference, but you'll need to make those actions habitual and repeat them consistently over time if you want others to shift their current perceptions or to solidify a view that they may have of you already. Strong personal brands are not built overnight. They take a long time to not just create, but then to evolve and build up. It's worth it though, as all great brands produce strong results in terms of improved demand, perceived value, reputation, and results. I hope you found today's podcast useful. If you have, please subscribe, as it makes the podcast more visible to more people who can benefit from them. And do please share the podcast with others who you feel might find them useful. Till next time, stay strong.